Hello and welcome to a podcast with no theme, no direction, three hosts with no idea what they're doing. It is currently 2:32 a.m. and you're listening to the late night ramblings of madmen. I am your host, John, and with my fellow hosts, Andrew and Grant. How are y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well.
Hi. Hello. Howdy.
Hey, hi. Hello.
I'm doing pretty well.
This episode, if you are a recurring follower of the show, we did tease this. That's all I'm gonna say. We teased this.
We have. In the last episode, we did at the end more formally, and then before that, I've mentioned a lot because we've now this isn't a gaming podcast, and don't let anyone tell you that it is.
Absolutely.
But we have mentioned, no, not at all. We have mentioned multiple times that we were going to, at some point, like we would start to mention the Dream SMP when talking about specifically like the Minecraft culture more than the game, because I don't think they've impacted the game much, except for at one point, but we'll get into that. But I think the Dream SMP, which if you can't tell, is what we're going to be talking about, is a very big thing in the cultural, or at least its peak popularity is over, but it's one of the most lasting things in the Minecraft zeitgeist, and it has changed the Minecraft community forever. And we keep stopping ourselves from talking about it, but today we finally talk about it. So.
Yeah, I think we wanted to wait for us to not really have anything to talk about because we knew it was going to go fairly long. And yeah, we've kind of just floated this idea around, and I guess this week we were just like, hey, let's do it.
Yeah, basically. So, I'm going to let us three completely demolish this subject, because I know all three of us...
One of us really wants to.
Well, it's more of Andrew and Grant, because I other than Technoblade, I have not seen any Dream SMP content stuff.
Honestly, same. I've always been more of a Hermitcraft guy.
Same.
But yes, I did always, not always, but like I don't think I caught some of his streams, but I made sure I never missed a Technoblade video. He was really great, but as we all know, he is no longer with us. And so after that, I didn't really watch any more Dream SMP content, with us just kind of popping in and out and giving our takes. And yeah, I've got a decent understanding of, I think, what is going to be discussed, because I don't think I don't think it's just about the SMP. Am I correct, Andrew?
Right. Yeah, no, you're correct. Honestly, it's probably the minority of what we're going to be talking about is the actual SMP itself. Before we get into this, though, I do want to give a bit of a disclaimer. When we say the Dream SMP, you're probably going to learn the specifics we're talking about. I mean, there's, of course, the actual server itself, but if we say some things of like our distaste towards the Dream SMP, we don't mean every SMP member. So
Right.
Don't take any of this as, like, Grant's already talked about being a fan of Technoblade. I'm not going to give some kind of like fake love or anything. Like, I wasn't a fan of his, you know. I didn't know much about him before, like the Dream SMP or any of that, which I think most people didn't, but you know. But he seemed like a very, very good content creator, very good, person as well. And yeah, so no shade towards him. Or I'm sure there are plenty of perfectly, good Dream SMP members. And honestly, I don't know if it's quite the members that are completely the issue, but
it's not really.
Yeah, I mean, Dream himself.
I think what? We've been dancing around it long enough. Let's just do it. Andrew, why don't you let us off?
Okay, so Minecraft has been a community for many, many years at this point. Depending on whether or not, I believe the actual like official launch of the Minecraft, when like the real game coming out, because it was in beta for a very long time, and it gained most of its initial popularity in beta before it became like a full release. But I was watching for a project for my channel. They did this big event where they like flipped a redstone switch, or Notch did, and that like officially released Minecraft, which is big and cool. But I think one thing that no video game can escape is cringe within its community. It's pretty much impossible. And the reason that is because the majority of people who play video games are children. And the reason I would argue that is because kids have a lot more free time than adults, right? No job, you come from for school, you could do homework, and just hop on some Call of Duty and scream gamer words at people when they kill you. But the the big difference, I think, as people get older, you're just able to play video games less unless you're like a video game content creator. And while I think Minecraft has and had and still has a very big adult following, the majority of its fan base are, kids. And what this sort of began early on is sort of like what I realized a schism, and I'm realizing this like from like the future looking into the past, because when we were kids playing Minecraft, we didn't realize we were kind of the cringe in the Minecraft community. I think a lot of people
We were totally the cringe.
Yeah,
we completely were. Yeah. But, I think also we'll get into this. There's a very big difference in the kind of cringe that Dream SMP sort of brought about and the kind of cringe that we, I guess, experienced.
Look to TikTok for that one.
Part of. Yeah. Yeah. I think
we didn't have TikTok back in 2014 or whatever, 2013.
No, we didn't. I think TikTok, the big thing with the Dream SMP to begin, is a lot of the fan base got very toxic. And I mean, I don't know. This is one thing that's very hard to like dissect. I'll open this up to y'all. Is the real question is like, why did this compare to something like Hermitcraft? I think the big aspect is probably the role play of why it became is like what separates it from other ones, because there are like storylines and that stuff going on. And it's what made it so famous and popular and stuff. But the real thing people always talk about is why were there so many Dream SMP stans compared to just like Hermitcraft fans, that sort of thing. And we're gonna probably be using Hermitcraft as like our golden boy example to like base this off of, because Hermitcraft
totally not biased.
Yeah, totally not biased. Well, Hermitcraft, I mean, they've made bad decisions. They've pretty much done nothing wrong. They're next to blameless. Like they haven't gotten into any big scandals and stuff. And I think that the way in an SMP for Minecraft, because you can pretty much do anything, the way the content creators in the SMP, or we're going to call them the crafters, because content creators is an odd buzzword. The people in the SMP, sure, the members, the way they conduct themselves will usually sort of culture a certain fan base based around that. And I think that's what happened with this versus like Hermitcraft, right? They're very respectful. They always talk about like, they'll like joke about maybe blowing up someone's base and then give you like a minute long rant of like, guys, we're all friends here on the Hermitcraft server. We always be nice and respectful to each other. Whereas on other servers, there's like I haven't seen too much of the actual Dream SMP content, but they'll have like
just
full political
one
stuff.
Of Tommy
right?
Tommy and its videos. Trust me. Just watch one.
Trust me, bro.
There is nothing like that.
It's like 2v2T over there. It's just complete anarchy.
And it's over, right? I don't know if we mentioned that, but isn't the Dream SMP like, haven't they stopped uploading?
I don't really know. I don't follow it that closely. But I think while we're on the comparison between Dream SMP and Hermitcraft, I think another thing that Dream SMP and Hermitcraft kind of differ on is just the style of it in general. One of the main things when I was kind of getting into like I kind of like got back into like Minecraft YouTube and whatever a little while ago, like years ago. But like when Dream SMP was like pretty popular, like I was kind of like I was interested. I was like, okay, well, let's check this out. And I had been coming from Hermitcraft, so I was expecting a Hermitcraft style, more old school, episode by episode. Like in this episode, we're going to work on the base, and in this episode, we're going to do this. But in Dream SMP, it's not like that at all. You don't have like Dream SMP episode 44, Mega Base Progress or something. It's not like that at all. They do a lot more challenges, or did. I don't know. I probably should have looked that up before I started talking about them, but they do more like challenges, and there's like little mini storylines where they all role play or whatever. And that's a lot different from Hermitcraft, which is a lot more structured, and everybody makes like episodes and has a continuing storyline throughout the season. And you know what I'm saying? It's a lot more like old school kind of content, really. Something that, like, you kind of, when you think about it, you kind of reminds you of something that Stampy would have done. And
Yes.
so I think that kind of attracts that slower, more methodical, what's the word? Oh gosh, like more structural, I guess. We'll go with that. My brain just died. But the kind of slower, more methodical content kind of attracts a more mature audience, like mature as
Yes,
in
definitely.
like less brain dead. But they people, you got to have patience when you're watching Hermitcraft. Seasons will take like a year and a half, and you will there you may never know like what happens if you don't finish the season. But it's going to take a while, and those bases take like a year to make, and so you got to have patience, and you got to sit there and wait for your favorite Hermitcraft member to release a video. Whereas Dream SMP, it's not like that at all.
Yeah, I agree.
I think one thing that's very different is maybe the age range, because there, of course, are a lot of children. But I think compared to when we were on Minecraft, there was like a big gap. There were like all the kids watching went to these YouTubers, and all the adults kind of did their own thing over here, and there wasn't like this like gap. Whereas I think the Dream SMP sort of like blended those together. Okay, for instance, I've mentioned before that kids are objectively cringe. That's true. But I think that kids on their own aren't like a bad kind of cringe, because like if you're leaving kids in the vacuum to the things they like, you'll find it cringe, but it's kind of innocent, right? They haven't been made evil by the world yet. I mean, I guess that gets into like
Debatable.
whether or not you're born evil or made evil by the world, like a Lockean versus a Hobbesian take on morality. But
Nature versus nurture,
I
I
think
believe.
yeah, that is that.
You
Yeah.
are right.
Imagine like they're going to be learning someday in college about the thing, and they give you like Hobbes's Leviathan, John Locke's, I forget what his book was, like all these essays on nurture versus nature, and then like the Late Night Ramblings of Madmen, episode 6, and it's like those are the. It'd be cool if we ended up in a psychology textbook about.
Right, we're just the pillars of
It would
psychological
probably
thought
be
over here.
Yeah.
It would probably be about insanity, because we do the same thing over and over again.
Expect different
Did
results.
I ever tell you the definition of insanity? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting stuff to change. That
I've
is
said this-
crazy.
I've said this before, I think, but I'm 90% sure that's an Einstein quote. 90%.
It might be,
Maybe
yeah.
92.
I mean, he adds a bunch to it. I doubt I doubt
I don't think
Einstein
I said
was,
all that. Yeah.
he was like the whole like him going like
Doubt
imagine
we'd
like
stay
Einstein's
around.
doing
I doubt we'd stay around on YouTube if we said the whole thing.
Right.
Imagine, Einstein did a little like an interview, and in the middle of it he just starts yelling at the guy because he doesn't like the way he's looking at him. I'm sorry, I don't like the way you are looking at me.
Except sounding a lot more German.
Yeah, a lot more German, a lot less. There's like an island they're from. It's a made-up place. The Rook Islands. I think they have their own accent. But that's Far Cry 3, by the way, if you're wondering what we're rambling about. But what we were talking about, I completely... Oh, yeah. So if you think about a lot of the... I guess, like, I think there's something about this cringe that the Dream SP brought about that was very tainted. And I think what really became of this was they very much want to find a group, right? That's why online fandoms, places like Discord are so incredibly like popular, right? Because I mean, we have a natural inclination to be a part of a herd, and I think that's something the internet isn't great about, because it sort of preys upon our natural want to like group together, because normally, right, you want to group together so you find friends, build good healthy relationships, that sort of thing. That's like how you would imagine this would go. But with the internet, right, you can have most of your relationships with people you never seen, that sort of thing, right? And I think the Dream SMP, because especially with like the age of its viewers, is you have people more so than ever before who like completely wrap their identity around a cultural thing. It's not even like millennials. I mean, people talk about millennials doing this, like their whole identity is their Hogwarts house or, you know, Pokemon, that sort of thing. Like, I think that's something people have been doing since for a while, I
Oh,
guess.
for
I
sure.
think,
Since literally since fandoms were a thing, like since
right.
forever.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I
always going
think
to
what's
be like
interesting
this.
is how much more prevalent it's becoming. Like,
Yeah.
our parents, who it's very interesting because I think, like, our as Gen Z, we have a split of millennial and also Gen X parents, I think, of the good old Generation Z. But I think those two generations are very different. Like, I don't think Gen X is known for that like being super attached to a fandom the way millennials are. And that's just a stereotype, of course. But Gen Z, okay, a lot of people don't like Gen Z. I mean, I think we're clowned on quite a lot because we grew up, and
Yes.
I think
We are becoming the new.
millennials,
Yeah, we're becoming the new millennials.
Yup.
yeah,
For
they
sure.
lost their spotlight of being clowned on. Now it's our turn.
They
And
got
you know,
too
whatever,
old
we'll
and
take our
started
lumps.
adulting.
Yeah, I know they started adulting a lot. Yeah, I mean, but the crazy thing is like the fact that Gen Zers are going to start having kids, or probably have already, right? I mean, because how old is older? You can be a 25-year-old Gen Z, right?
1998, right? Yeah, 1998. I
Yeah,
think it's 1998 to
that's crazy.
2012, and good lord, what is everybody beyond 2013 going to be? I don't even. What do they even call that? Like Generation Alpha? I think I've
Generation
heard
Alpha, yeah.
Alpha. I think during the pandemic, I read a quote that somebody called them said they were going to be Gen C, not Gen Z, Gen C, and for like the COVID generation, which is the dumbest thing, but it was like 2020.
That's
So,
goofy as crap, bro. Like, why would you
all
just
right,
name them after the tragedy they were born under? Jeez,
I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of
yeah,
what we
no.
did with the boomers.
but that wasn't
Well, no,
really a
okay,
tragedy
no. The
because
baby
it was
boom,
just
that was.
yeah, it was just a lot of babies were being born. You know.
It's not like they called them Generation H for Hitler. Like, that's, you know.
Okay, that's true.
Yo, that's true.
Yeah,
You got a point. You got a point.
yeah.
What? How do we get back to Dream SMP
Oh,
for me?
crap. Dream SMP, yeah.
Oh,
Okay, John,
our finest
what are your
ramblings.
thoughts?
My
We do
Dream
ramble.
SMP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, overall.
Well, the content's pretty good, but mainly the fandom turns me away from it. You know.
Right.
Right.
Because it's so far beyond like just the content. You know, with Hermitcraft, and I know non-Hermitcraft fans are gonna, they're gonna eat us alive for comparing it to Hermitcraft as much. But non-Hermit or Hermitcraft, like the fandom sort of stays in YouTube. You know what I mean? Like there's fan
Yeah.
channels on YouTube and whatever, and they make neat
And
little
a little bit
like
on
stats
Twitch.
and whatever. A little bit on Twitch. That's right, because they do have like some members have YouTube and Twitch. But like Dream SMP has spread its like grass far far beyond YouTube. It's gone into like Twitter and TikTok. It's gone everywhere, and that has produced some very negative results.
Yeah, I would. Okay,
Here's one thing. Oh,
can I go ahead?
yeah, you go first,
I
yeah.
was at. So this is like kind of like I was at a. Don't think of me as a nerd. I was at an anime con once, and I was going to grab a sandwich. So like a couple blocks away was a Jimmy John. So I walk over there. I'm getting a Jimmy John sandwich, and of course there were a bunch of other people from the anime con there. And I see people dressed up as Dream, Technoblade, and like I think George Not Found or someone like that. I was like, how cringe do you have to be to show up for an anime con dressed up like that?
were you dressed up in anything?
Yeah, I was going as an anime character, not
That's fair.
Dream.
See, that's fair. Right. And they do get those people get their just desserts with all the we've all seen those memes. The what is it? It's like name
Where
a
they're
more
singing
iconic
before the
trio.
mask.
No, I
Oh,
was
yeah,
thinking.
yeah,
No, I
I'll
was
wait.
thinking name a more iconic trio, and like there's all these like dream stands on Twitter and whatever. Like show a picture of like the dream team or whatever, and they're like oh, name a more iconic trio. You can't possibly do it because it just does not exist. Everybody knows that it's like, and then they just spend like 2 minutes just like showing all these pictures of like epic trios.
Those are great.
Have you
The
seen
Three
the one where
Musketeers.
They get their
turn?
just desserts.
Have you seen the one where they
Yep.
turn the trio into trash cans?
I'm sure there's one out there. I don't think I've seen it, but I'm sure there's one out there.
Also, I would like to point this out for all of the good people in the comment section. John has been to an anime convention. Please bully him in the comments. Thank you. Makes my job easier.
Well,
No,
to
I
be
will say-
fair, our
I'm pretty
fan
sure all
base-
three of us have seen
the fan
anime
base-
before, so
I've also been
I'm
to an
pretty
anime
sure-
convention, so okay, let's all,
Wait, for real?
yeah, I have. Well, okay, I went
No,
to
I
a
haven't.
local. I don't want to get more details than a local Comic Con, but that was where I saw. I went to a Comic Con once, and I was kind of disappointed. It was a local one, and I don't live in San Diego, thus it
Oh.
wasn't that crazy.
The
So, I
Comic-Con,
know.
like
I can find
capital
our
of the
IPs
world.
now. We don't live in San Diego. But the thing is, like, the smell is definitely a factor, and I think I feel like the dream. Okay, it is like what you're talking about. I got you rolled there for a second, but yeah, what you're talking about with the Dream fan base being dressed up as Dream and Technoblade for an anime convention,
Bruh.
a little sad.
I mean,
Also,
if
can we
something like VidCon, that would be fair, you know?
right?
yeah.
But not
But
VidCon,
Anime
yeah.
Con,
Yeah, come on.
anime.
Yeah.
You
Come
know,
on
Just go to
now.
Comic-Con where it could be anything. Like Comic-Cons are just like fandoms in general, so
Yeah,
you could dress
just
up like
like
whenever. Not an
nerds of the
anime
world
convention.
unite, you know?
yeah. I mean, the only
Um,
dude there who like didn't have like the same costume style thing was the dude in the Master Chief suit, but it's the Master Chief, so
Yeah, I've never
Master
been
Chief
to
does what it
I've never
wants.
That's
been
really
to one.
iconic.
Do you have to go? And like, is it just sort of like accepted that like you have to dress up? Because like
Oh, no, I don't
I've
think
never,
I haven't.
no,
never
there were a
been,
lot
but
of
like
people there who weren't.
you just like
dressed up.
show up in like regular clothes or whatever. Or do you have to like get some?
I would
costume
argue that
or
a
whatever?
lot do. It just happens to be a place where all of the like, if you are a cosplayer, then this is where you would go to be able to cosplay. Plus,
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot of people
that's
are
like
oh,
where else would you go? You know?
yeah, the
Yeah.
other people is like,
Yeah.
well, I might as well. I mean, other people are going to be. I've
Like-
thought about this sort of thing. The only person I'd be willing to cosplay is Viceroy Newt Gunray, and I don't have the money for that kind of costume. But
Or the green
I gotta
face paint.
see what this dude
the
looks
green
like.
face. Yeah, I
Dude.
feel like
He looks pretty much like a stereotypical alien, really.
a froggy boy.
Yeah.
I would want to be Viceroy Newt Gunray. I do have a dream of getting like a movie accurate cosplay of one of those and just walking around as Viceroy Newt Gunray.
That's what he
But-
dreams about at night.
I think
It was that character from Star Wars. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like just like one of the pushover politician things.
he's from the Trade Federation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Senator
I knew that.
Amidala.
See,
Um,
I haven't seen the prequels in like, oh gosh, probably
It's
like
more
8
from
or
the
9 years.
show, which is better than the movies. The which is canon. by the
Clone War
way.
show.
The Clone Wars show, so good.
What isn't
so
canon
good?
in Star Wars? Honestly, like they
Honestly,
just
actually, most of it, like it's almost
Yeah,
90% of the
like,
content was
90%
produced
of
because
it
they
is-
did the big. There's big culling that happened where they cut away a bunch.
Of course.
Call-
Yeah. I don't even try to
But
follow
they had
the Star Wars
to.
timeline anymore.
I'm gonna be honest. That Disney made the right choice because it was so convoluted. Like they did no work at all to make that stuff canon. So Disney made a good
course.
choice.
yeah.
Disney, what they
Except for
should have done was make a bunch of books and ruin crap. Like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
Merchandising.
we need to get back to Dream Recipe.
Hey, Mikey.
Mickey.
I will work on the Mickey. I will work on the mouse. That mouse impression does need work, but I'll get there.
What was I talking? Oh yeah. So the Dream Recipe themselves, I think one of their biggest issues is usually you have if there's a fandom, there are stands, right? And usually people have like a loving fear of the stands. Like it's like nice that someone cares that much, but it's also like maybe you're going a little overboard, buddy. But the difference in there and the stan culture is, I suppose, the way that I think the Dream Recipe sort of fed them. Like trying to think of a good. Okay, do you know how? Do you know the thing where Dream sold a bracelet with NFTs of his like childhood and baby pictures?
No, I did not hear that.
No, but that's
Yeah,
a thing.
he sold merch and it had like his childhood pictures on it, and it's like I like why like that's like I'm legitimately curious. I don't even have an argument. I'm just like what's the deal?
Yeah. Yeah.
It just feels like that feels like a step too far because I think a parasocial relationship is one of the most dangerous things for both the people and the creator. Um, because you can so easily fall into them. Like, um, you know so much and you almost feel this like friendship towards the it's almost as though it's like a friend group of 1,000 and they're all there for the one friend. It's like you feel this sort of kinship towards this creator because you've seen all their videos, maybe you've been in live streams, donated, chatted, whatever, and then to you they're like they might know of you, like you'll pop in, they'll be like, that rings a bell. But maybe you like if you were to dip out for a month and then come
They
back
don't
and
know
like oh my
you.
gosh, it's you've come back, like even if you're like it's not a real relationship in a way. Like you might know, like in the odd ones out example, how many years they went to bed, but they know nothing about you. So if you see them in the supermarket, it's always going to be weird. And I think that in conclusion, in this MLA formatted essay of a podcast segment, um, the Dream SMP has more stands than the average community, most likely because just the way it was attracted stands, and it sort of fed them, especially Dream did. And now he's caught some pretty major allegations. So I don't want to comment on
Yeah.
that because I'm very pro innocent until proven guilty. So I don't know really any information, so I don't want to say stuff about that. But that has happened, and also his botched face reveal. Also, I will say I do feel bad for the guy.
Oh,
Imagine you
dang.
reveal
Yeah,
your face to the
nobody
internet
deserves that. Nobody
and
deserves that.
he's ugly is the second thing on trending on Twitter. It's just the words hashtag he's
Oh,
ugly. I mean, he
oh.
does look like Rumpelstiltskin from Shrek 3, but like
And Shane
that's not
Dawson.
his fault.
And didn't that guy
And
make a
Shane
video
Dawson.
about how like it was him and Shane Dawson, like in one person? I think he made a video about that a long time ago, like back when it was on
Yeah,
Telegram.
theory.
Yeah.
It's like he kind of got the ultimate yin yang too, because a bunch of like the most simped for female Twitch streamers said how hot they thought he was, but then everyone else just unanimously agreed they were wrong. Um, yeah, poor guy, but maybe not poor guy
Yeah.
because he might
Well, I
be.
think he like his fan base probably like idealized him so much that when he wasn't like the like most beautiful man ever, like you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like if he
Yeah.
wasn't,
Well,
to be
everyone
fair,
else was kind of preying
there
on
was
his downfall too,
there was
because
no way he was gonna meet their expectations, like
of
of
course
what
not. They're
because they had
imagining
just
freaking
idealized him.
Zeus.
Yeah, right.
So I feel like one thing that's a little telling and a little worrying is we live in a cancel culture, right? Cancel culture is a big thing. It's a little cringe to talk about it sometimes, but it's very real and honestly a legitimate issue. Usually, any kind of allegation goes up against someone, everyone sides with guilty. No one ever, like usually they're like, but like with the Dream thing, big allegations happen. Nothing really happened of it. Like it just didn't become big news. He just sort of quietly fell off. And I think that might be a little telling of the obsession they have with him. But yeah, on that grim
Yeah.
note, who wants to John?
Would have made Dream SMP better? This week's
What?
mod.
Oh, good segue.
So I've heard a lot about this mod. I can't get my PC to run it, but I'm super excited if I can get it to run it. I think a couple weeks ago, I was debuting Pixelmon, but this week it is Cobblemon. So, if you guys have ever seen Pixelmon, they aren't actually pixelated. They're full 3D models that are like smooth, so they don't fit in Minecraft at all. But Cobblemon, in their I don't know, genius, I guess, decided to reanimate Pokemon in blocky form. So Pikachu
That's great.
is like a block tall, and it's like the actual sizes of the Pokemon too. So it's like a block
Oh,
tall.
that does seem far superior to Pixelmon.
And they have animations for the Pokemon too. So they have idle animation, flying animation, all sorts of different animation.
What does this require of the computer? Because this sounds like it's gonna basically just kill it.
Hold on. I think so. I can't get it up on my PC because I'm having
Like, if
trouble
you were
with
to-
Motoreth.
If you were to download it or whatever, how much storage do you think it would take up, and like just how much do you think, like, you don't have to give out like any numbers or whatever and say like, oh, this needs to be up to this spec or whatever, but just like, you know, like, do you think like the average person or the average gaming computer maybe could run it,
Yeah,
or
I think
just
the
like,
average gaming computer can.
or is it like, don't do it's a great thing, but don't do it because it'll crash your PC?
It would probably like. I would maybe recommend, like what I've seen, maybe 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Okay.
Which most PCs have 16 gigabytes, so it shouldn't be a big deal.
What does RAM even stand for, by the way?
I don't know.
Let me look that up. What does RAM stand for? Random access memory. Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, okay. It's cool.
But yeah, if I can get it working, I am definitely going to stream it. Because it
looks very cool.
Looks a lot of fun.
Now, John, if they were to want to watch that stream, where could they find you?
They could find me at red_dot66 on Twitch.
Nice.
Now, I don't stream, but if I did, you could find me at SuperSpartoi at twitch.com or twitch.tuvalu.com. No, just twitch.tuvalu. Continue.
But
nice.
Anyways, the one thing that that this mod has in common with the next subject is the Pokemon. Personally, so I love Scarlet and Violet. I've said it before. But I don't think it was necessarily the best for what Nintendo could do. Personally, again, I really liked it. But if they just did different things with it, it'd be amazing. I was talking with a friend about this, and he said, make one game and add different regions to it. So it's like Gen 1 through 4, and then you pay for DLC for the rest.
Oh, and then you get to relive through your childhood. Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah. And you could even go to the different regions with your high-level Pokemon, too.
That's so cool. Yes,
so they
should totally do that.
Airport to fly to the different regions.
Yes.
So you could
like, in order...
Go ahead.
Right. Or in order to, you know, because basically nobody would spend any time in the new region. That's my guess. And they would just, you know, go back to their favorite region or whatever. But a solution to that could be, like, you need to maybe complete the first region before, like the one in the game, before you can access any of the historical ones. I think that'd be a good idea.
Well,
just to
this
keep people in the thing for a little bit.
This is a concept that I think people have been suggesting since, like, I remember on one of I don't know if y'all know who ImageATV is, but he had someone like, this was like a leak. They said the next region after Sword and Shield is going to be themed around ancient Greece, and it was going to be, but you could go back. It was going to be games as a service model, and you could like go back to all the other ones, that sort of thing. That's what they thought Pokemon was going to be now. That was the leak.
Parthomon. I think they should call it Parthomon.
It's Parthomon. It's nice. That's good.
Call it Parthomon.
That's
please.
Good.
Please.
I think the idea of being able to go back as DLC to every to be able to go back to every other game on DLC I think is genius. I think it would be really good. However, I think Game Freak, if given the choice between having to cut off the left pinky of all of their employees and sacrifice them to Arceus, or to do that, I think they're picking the losing the pinkies because Game Freak, if they've shown anyone anything, it is that like they won't even give us a dang national dex. Like it just I think that I don't know. I think I'm starting to ramble. Um
Thing is,
yeah.
if they kept promising the national dex, we would have had littler and literal smaller pools of newer Pokemon because of hardwire limitations.
Mm.
If they put it on a PC, then maybe they could actually do it. But again, if they made it one game, they could have, like, you could be able to catch every single Pokemon in that one
I
game.
honestly, I don't think that the community actually wants that because Nintendo has already proven themselves to be a kind of money hungry thing. And while I think it would make a lot of sense for Pokemon to move into a games as a service model and just start adding new regions as generations, we're just going to get smaller and smaller amounts of content for more and more money. They're going to start selling skins. They're going to make things pay to win. I think we've seen Nintendo's true colors, and I just don't
Alright,
know.
hear me out, hear me out. They do Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green, Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Pokemon either Ruby and Sapphire or just do Emerald. And have that $30. Every single region afterward is $10. How much money are they making?
Quite a lot.
A lot.
That's
a
a
lot.
lot of money. Because
Heck, I'd pay for Emerald. I love Emerald.
A lot of people are going to want to buy the old Pokemon games just to go back and play them. And other people who have played them with the new thing are like, oh, this is my favorite region. I want to get the DLC for it. So a lot of people are going to buy the DLC for the next generations, you know?
For sure. Yeah. I think that would be a good move, and maybe, again, I think you need to have some kind of, to make sure this doesn't get out of control, I think you need to have some kind of, like, in-game requirement, like you have to complete the region, like the game featuring region, like, the new one. I think that you need to complete that and buy the DLC to access, just because my only fear with that is that people would just speed run, maybe the new region and then just buy the DLC and then just, like, not spend any time in the new region, which, to be fair, the developers work hard to create. So
Yeah,
I
you
think,
could have, like, a boss at the end of it.
right,
It's like the
yes,
TSA.
no, I've got it. You have you have to fight. So you have, first things first, you have to beat the existing region. Then you fight the toughest boss from each game to unlock, and then you also have to pay your $10. But, like, you can fight against, like, gosh, I have not played Emerald in so long. Who was the boss on, like, the final four or whatever, in Emerald? Let me just
Was it
Google.
Wallace or was it
I
Steven?
think I felt like Wallace was with Pearl version. Let me see. Emerald
I'm pretty sure it
version
was Steven.
final boss. Yeah.
It'd
But,
be the
like, something
champion.
definitely wasn't Archie. Yeah, I think it might have been. Could have been Wallace. I'm trying to find it, but yeah, just, like, you have to fight.
Yeah, it was
Um,
Steven Stone.
it was Steven Stone. Okay, yeah, we both came on that at the same time. Uh, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so nostalgic.
Yeah. I say,
But
like, if they do it, I say they would do the remastered versions and not the really old versions.
oh no, like, but you keep the same, like, Pokemon and whatever that they used, and, like, that, I just think that would be so cool. Like, you had to fight wasn't Cynthia one of them? feel like
and
she
or
was. I don't know.
Garchomp.
Yes, and like
Oh,
you had to fight like each of the bosses to unlock just to keep people playing the new region a little bit more. I think that'd be a good idea.
yeah, it would be such a cool idea, because I know a lot of people would love that game. I think that whole thing would be great for the Pokemon franchise, but I think it's about that time for the you know what minute. So Andrew,
Yes, the serious minute. Yeah, if you don't know how we run things around here, we try to keep this podcast, I mean, decently upbeat, as upbeat as we tend to keep it. But, ever
Not
so
today
often,
though.
not today. I mean, we talked about the Dream SMP, so, I mean, I think everyone kind of could have foreseen that that was going to happen. But,
It was obvious.
yeah, so basically, um, for 1 minute, we start a 1 minute timer. That way, people can skip the minute ahead. I will talk about something serious. That's my segment on the podcast, and it will only go for 1 minute. So we will go 3, 2, 1, go, and then we will start. And then after that, minute will go through, and then you all can unskip. So I'll let you know when to, and I'll start talking about um some some things. Okay, cool.
You got the timer ready?
Yes. You guys ready?
Yeah, go for it.
3, 2, 1, go. So in first news, there has been some tragedy in the state of Mississippi in America. A very large tornado has formed over the Mississippi River. Very high winds, as you can imagine. It's a tornado that caused mass destruction, and so far there have been reportedly 25 deaths. Not much more to say about that. It's over now, but if you know anyone in the Mississippi area, you can reach out to, or anything you can do. Always, thoughts and prayers going out to them. Um, in more geopolitical news, Honduras no longer recognizes Taiwan as a country. They believe that the People's Republic of China is, Taiwan belongs to them, which is the going to the decreasing number of allies that Taiwan has. And in the Ukraine news, Putin continues to take L's as he has now been sending tanks from the 50s into battle because he's pretty much run out of equipment. So keep taking L's, Putin. That's 1 minute.
That seemed like even shorter than 1 minute,
No,
honestly.
it did kind of
It
feel
was
like it.
like, yeah.
Welcome back.
yeah, about a minute.
But I
It
mean,
depends.
this is a joke, obviously. But to his credit, those tanks did work pretty well in World War II.
I did.
If there's any positive, any silver
Unless it was
lining
up
there,
against the Finnish, so
Yeah.
yeah,
What's very interesting
yeah,
about that
that's true.
is they tried to use them in Iraq, and what they learned was they worked well in like governing their own people, but they did not work well against NATO technology. So yeah.
Mostly because we have 2020's technology, and those are tanks made from the 50s. I'm sure they were great back then, though.
Oh yeah, they're probably top of their line back when Russia was a not more than they weren't
yeah,
completely
made
useless
out of
country.
made out of wood, leftover nails and stuff like that. Yes, they did use wood, leftover nails, because during World War II they ran out of supplies.
I believe these were the original thing was they're mostly used for these were mostly is used in the Cold War as well, that era. But yeah,
Yeah. All right. Well, um, I'm a big history fan, so I'd love to talk about that more. But the show cannot it just cannot function without everyone's favorite segment, the sports segment. Basically, just not a lot to say here. I really like sports, and so I just want to keep everyone updated on the wide world of sports, if you will. I hope that's not trademarked. But I said this last time. This is mostly going to focus on American sports today. Just because we've got a big freaking basketball tournament that has just gotten really, really wild. That's right, everybody. You love it, you hate it, all at once. March Madness, the NCAA men's bracket. I'm sure the women's is great too. To be fair, I don't really follow the women's bracket. I'm sure it's got its own set of like just crazy upsets and whatever. But we're going to talk about the men's one today. So the madness definitely continued with Florida Atlantic taking down number 4 Tennessee in the Sweet 16 and then edging Kansas State by 3 points in the Elite Eight to punch their ticket to the Final Four. Before 2023, the FAU Owls had I love the Owls. Had only been to one tournament, like one NCAA March Madness tournament, and got out in the first round. So their 4-1 record, because they've won 4 games this year, at March Madness leads to an 80% win rate, which is highest in NCAA history. I read that and I was like, isn't that great? Yep. Forget Duke, forget Purdue or any of Kansas, any of the great schools. Nope. FAU, Florida Atlantic University, has the highest win percentage. And then next up, San Diego State, the number 5th seed, eliminated number 1 Alabama and number 6 Creighton to take the Southern Division crown and advance to the 4. A decisive late foul call versus Creighton gave San Diego State an advantage, but a buzzer beater from Darion Trammell, I hope I pronounced that right, secured the win for Aztecs. So that's good for them. So we're going to see the Owls and the Aztecs, definitely uncommon mascots, facing off on Saturday. And then on the other side, we have number 4 UConn. They hammered Gonzaga's and number 3 Gonzaga 82-54 to win the West Division, which I don't really know why the University of Connecticut is in the West, but okay. And they took their Final Four spot. The Huskies' 28-point win is the second worst in Gonzaga coach Mark Few's history with the team. And just to clarify, yes, we are talking about the men's. I know, it's crazy, right? The men's UConn team actually does something. Good for them. And so then Miami finally upset number 1 Houston and number 2 Texas, which is very impressive, to take the last spot in the Final Four. They went on a 13-2 rally late versus Texas to stun the Longhorns in advance, which is their first Final Four ever. So good to see that. I tried to look up if there was a stat on if any of the teams had ever been to the Final Four before. Couldn't find one. But yeah, I'm pretty sure if any of the teams have been to the Final Four, it's not been frequent. So like I said earlier, Florida Atlantic University will take on San Diego State, and UConn will take on Miami on Saturday. And there is no number 1 seeds. We have 2 number 4s, one number 4, 2 number 5s, and 1 number 9 in the Final Four, making this the first Final Four ever without a number 1 seed, which is just crazy. This year has been absolutely off the rails. But moving outside of the March Madness, we have just other general sports news. It was a bit of a slow week. But Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson revealed that he requested a trade from Baltimore in early March. So he may go to the Colts, and that's pretty bad for Baltimore because he was definitely their shining star. Hopefully they're going to have to pull somebody out of the NFL draft who can fill his big shoes. Tyler Reddick survived 3 overtimes in a chaotic finish to win the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas for the NASCAR Cup Series. I did not actually watch this race. I know y'all know I'm a big NASCAR fan, but I did not actually watch this race. I was at a hockey game, but I was following it on my phone. And when I saw that there are 3 overtimes, I was like, dang, stuff just got real there. And then lastly, the New Jersey Devils speaking of hockey, the New Jersey Devils for the NHL clinched their first playoff berth since 2018, which doesn't sound like that long, but when you think about it, it's 5 years. It's kind of a long time. In a chaotic, with a win over the Senators, goalie Mackenzie Blackwood made 25 saves en route to a 5-3 win. As somebody who's a passable NHL fan, yeah, that's good for them because I've kind of started following right around then, and so all I've ever seen from the Devils is playoff elimination. So it's good to see them finally in the playoffs. So that's going to wrap up the sports segment for today. And now moving a little bit more personal to give you an update on our brackets. This was when I was supposed to have it pulled up on my phone, so now I got to pull it up. Andrew.
Yes, before we go on to our
I was
brackets.
listening. Let me talk. Let me talk.
Okay.
That's a great noise. I was listening to the podcast while I was in the car yesterday, and I seem to recall you said, "What was that? Oh yeah, there's no way Xavier was gonna lose, and yeah, they're gonna win without a doubt. It was an X sweep, I think you called it. I think you used that term. Yeah, how's that looking out, buddy? Guys are
Cut
making
my
it to the
life
Elite Eight, huh?
into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Xavier, the team that was said by many to be soon to be the greatest team in any sport ever, many people did say that, has lost to the Monsters from Texas. They
And
beat them
Texas lost, so
by 83 to 71. Yeah, Rip
If
Bozo.
you're in Texas.
Um, yeah, Xavier, they made it 71 points. They played strong. I didn't actually see the game happening because I forgot they were playing one,
late.
but it was on late. And yeah, I think it's pretty sad, pretty not good. I
Yeah,
really don't have.
and you guys are not gonna believe this. So I just pulled up the standings because I haven't really looked at this. I looked at it directly after Xavier's loss, and then I haven't really looked at it since. So Andrew and I are tied at 48 points, but our max is also at 48 because none of us called any of the final four teams. So really, we tied. I mean,
Yeah, unless
if we
John
so
or whoever you are, by the way, you monster. I'm not gonna dox you this time.
I'm looking at the max because nobody in our league called the brackets, or
Hmm.
nobody called the final four. So yeah, basically everybody's done now. The final tally comes in. Me and Andrew tied at the top for 48 points, which I've been playing this game for 10 years and never won, so I'll take the tie. And then our mystery man in third, 3 points behind us, and then poor John
Should we
with
dox him again or
12
nah?
points. Nah,
Could have been the 4th year of
poor,
victory.
poor
Yeah.
John. Poor John. But
I will
yeah,
say though,
good
if
game.
y'all want an official winner,
This was a bitter fight. This was a bitter fight.
I
But
will say
I
though,
guess
if
we
y'all
made
want
it
an
up.
official winner, hear me out. Both me and Grant got 48 points out of a max of 48 points. Grant got 33 correct. I got 35 correct. So just saying.
Well, right. That's why you're listed above me in the standings here.
I'll leave it
So,
there.
but hey, we still split the crown. We split the crown. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I got a little more, but yeah,
Sure, your win meant a little more than mine win. I'll concede
a little
that.
more.
But
Yep.
hey, I still won. Okay, it's still a is even split. So I was
Also,
I
whose
was
team lost? Which team lost in the first round? By the way, I feel like I remember a certain team
um
doing that.
I'm I'm sorry. Which team is already out anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And
Okay. All right.
also
All right.
and also, yeah, oh dang, your bracket's pretty rough, dude. I'm
Yeah,
looking at
it's
this.
not
You
looking good.
handle the West pretty well. Yeah, I kind of thing is like I thought I was done when Purdue lost, but I totally came alive in like the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight. Like it all just kind of fell my way. Everybody else got eliminated, and yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll take that. So I
Alright,
made an
it's
epic
about
comeback,
time.
and we're gonna end up splitting the crown. So I guess that will conclude our very short March Madness
But I get more.
segment. Yeah, that'll conclude our March Madness bracket. Obviously, I will update everybody next time on who makes it to the championship game because that's definitely going to be a big story. So yeah, that's it for the sports segment.
And it's about time for my spooky segment. If y'all don't recall, it is the SCP Foundation. So the way that I'm going to do this is describe what the item is. Well, item slash thing is classified as item. Object class which can either be safe, Euclid, or Keter. And if something is expunged, I will say redacted. So, item number SCP-096, object class Euclid. Other names for this SCP are known as the Shy Guy. Special containment procedures. SCP-096 is contained within a cell that is 5 meters by 5 meters, completely encased by steel. And all security personnel must not be able to look at the cameras. Any photos, videos, or recordings of 096's likeness are strictly forbidden, without any approval from Dr. Redacted or O5 Redacted. Description: SCP-096 is a humanoid creature, measuring approximately 2.3 meters, or 2.38 meters in height. Subject shows very little muscle mass. With plenty of analysis on its body, it's pretty fine like that. It is able to drop. It has no hair or pigmentation on its skin, meaning that all of its skin is pale white. 096's jaw can drop 4 times the normal amount of a normal human. SCP-096 is extremely docile, even when it's being hurt. But if you see SCP-096's face, it is a death sentence, either via video recordings or a photograph, or seeing its face. It will become extremely emotionally distressed for about 1 to 2 minutes after you first view its face, and then will begin running. The documented speeds have varied from 35 kilometers to redacted kilometers an hour, and seems to depend on distance from point A to at this point no known material or method can impede 096's process. And that is the SCP for this week. What did you guys think?
That's pretty crazy.
That's probably the spookiest spooky segment. Which these most likely will be.
Like some dude who got cold 130 years ago. You're like literally got like an alien or whatever the heck.
Mine was a goofy frog boy.
I don't think it mentions how we ended up finding it.
Yeah, that is definitely censored. I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, redacted.
Probably redacted somewhere. All the really
Hey,
cool
that was a good
are
one.
probably
That was a good
redacted.
segment. That
Yeah.
was a good one.
You know what we could do? We could start having you compress those into like shorts videos, and we could just like shill thousands of them to get people to come to our podcast. Because there's so many SCPs.
Over 7,000 SCP videos.
How many SCPs are there?
There are over 7,000.
Dang.
That's much more than Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And more dangerous than Pokemon.
Most definitely. I find the SCPs, yeah, there some of them aren't really like my forte. Like it's not completely, but they're definitely. I like the some of the SCPs. It's a very interesting, community. I'm glad to have it as a part of the podcast.
Hopefully soon I can get to my second favorite, which is 999.
Cool.
Otherwise known as the Tickle Monster.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. The Tickle Monster.
Okay. Where do we go from there?
Oh, anyone watch any good animes recently? Anybody? Oh, Grant, you've been watching Erased. How far are you in it?
I'm still working on Erased update. I'll make this quick because I don't want to spoil anything.
We got to get anime in. Not an anime podcast, but
How many episodes are there? I haven't
10, I
actually
believe.
checked.
10 or 11, maybe 12.
I just finished episode 11.
Oh, okay. I think there are 12.
It's in episode 12. Okay, I'm pretty sure this
The episode 12 is the finale then, because I know you told me where you were in episode 10. No spoilies, sorry guys, but and that's where you were in the episode you watched, and that's the second to last episode.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
overall, I think it's pretty good.
Would you recommend?
Here. I guess. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's fair.
There's
Of course,
something about parts of that show. Have you ever gotten the thing where it's like nostalgia for like something you didn't experience? I know it's like a thing that's been heavily documented. It gave me that
I
hard.
forget what that's called, but yeah. Huh. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that's a quick little update there. I guess I can update you guys next week on how it ends. Well, not on how it ends, but that I finished it.
I've already started Dragon Ball Z. I haven't
Cool.
finished Naruto. I have 2 seasons left to go. And hopefully soon I will start One
Godspeed,
Piece.
brother.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to watch personally. I don't have any anime.
So,
Yeah. I don't really know where I'm gonna go after a race, but I'll find something, I guess.
Well,
what did you guys think about this episode?
I thought it was pretty good. Also, hopefully y'all have enjoyed it. As far as the production side of this episode, what you're seeing. Oh, also a bit of a disclaimer from the last episode. There will have been on YouTube. It'll be the same for this episode. On YouTube, you'll be able to see the Minecraft gameplay, but on Spotify, you will not be able to see that anymore because it's just not been working. And we'd rather have them get uploaded, than and not have it. So yeah. If you want to see the visuals on YouTube, and we're not ever going to talk about the visuals because they're recorded separately, so don't worry. There's no FOMO needed. Yeah, it hasn't been edited yet. Also, you probably have been watching me build a lighthouse, so it's cool. But yeah, everyone want to say where they can find you? Links in the description, by the way, to each of our other channels: Jun's Twitch, my Twitch and YouTube, and the links to this channel and to Spotify. If you're watching on Spotify or a podcast service, please leave us a please leave us a review that you think we deserve. Hopefully a 5-star review, that's what we prefer. If you are on YouTube, you can leave a like, let us know something in the comments. And definitely subscribe if you want to hear more from us. Hit the notification bell, notifications all. Y'all know how to do this. You've probably been on YouTube before. Yeah, John,